Obinna and Tunde were born just a few huts apart in the peaceful village of Ala-Udo, a place surrounded by thick palm trees, red sand paths, and moonlit nights filled with the sound of flutes and drums. From childhood, their mothers had raised them like brothers, constantly teaching them one lesson that shaped their early years. Kindness spares. Kindness returns. Kindness is never wasted. Both boys grew up helping elders in the farms, fetching water for old women, and running errands without complaint. The villagers admired them, always saying, "These boys will be great men someday." Their childhood was simple but joyful, fishing in the river, climbing fruit trees, and racing through the marketplace during festivals. But as they grew older, destiny took them down different paths. Tunde, ambitious and hungry for a life beyond the village, left for the bustling city of Lagos. The city changed him quickly. He learned how to survive with sharp elbows, quick speech, and a hardened heart. Kindness became a weakness to him. He became successful fast. Money, connections, cars, and eventually a flashy wedding to a woman who admired only wealth. He forgot the lessons of Ala-Udo. Obinna remained in the village, building his life with patience and humility. He too married a gentle woman named Ala-Udo, who believed strongly in compassion. Together, they lived modestly but joyfully, treating everyone with respect. Slowly, with hard work, Obinna built a small carpentry business. He was not rich, but he slept with a peaceful heart every night. Villagers still came to him for help, and he never turned anyone away. Years passed. Success had shaped Tunde's wealth, but kindness had shaped Obinna's soul. And soon, fate would bring both men face to face again, where true character would be tested in ways neither expected. The Harmattan breeze swept through Ala-Udo when Tunde returned to the village after many years. His convoy of 2 sleek SUVs raised clouds of red dust as they rolled into the village square. Children chased after the cars, women whispered to one another, and the elders nodded slowly, recognizing the once humble boy who had now become a wealthy city man. Tunde stepped out dressed in polished shoes, a gold wristwatch, and a proud smile. His wife beside him, adorned with jewelry that sparkled under the afternoon sun. To the villagers, he looked like success itself. But Obinna saw none of this. That morning, he had left home early to help old Mama Nkechi carry her sack of cassava from the farm to her compound. As he walked along the path, chatting gently with the old woman, Tunde and his wife happened to pass by in their car. Tunde signaled his driver to stop. Dust settled as he stepped out and stared in disbelief. "Obinna," he called, almost laughing. "So you are still doing this? Helping people up and down?" Obinna smiled warmly. "Yes, my brother. It is what our mothers taught us. Kindness spares, remember?" Tunde scoffed. His wife stepped forward, looking Obinna up and down from head to toe. "You are still poor," she said mockingly. "Helping people will keep you exactly where you are. Look at us. We stopped all that nonsense and now we live well." Obinna simply bowed his head. "Madam, it is well, but helping others is the right thing to do." Tunde shook his head. "My friend, leave this village mindset. Kindness doesn't pay. Money pays. Do what we do and you will rise." Obinna gently helped Mama Nkechi into her compound before turning back to Tunde and his wife. "My heart will always choose kindness," he said calmly. "It is who I am." As he walked away with his pregnant wife waiting at home, Tunde watched him with a mixture of amusement and pity. But destiny had already started shifting. What lay ahead would soon reveal whose path truly led to greatness. The next morning began like any other for Obinna. Birds chirped outside his window, and the smell of Ala-Udo's morning porridge filled their small hut. But before he could finish his meal, a messenger from the workshop arrived with a sorrowful expression. "Obinna, I'm sorry," he said quietly. "The new owner of the factory has decided to reduce staff. You have been relieved of your duties." The words struck Obinna like a blow to the chest. Though he tried to hide the pain, Ala-Udo saw the sorrow cloud his eyes. "It is well," she whispered, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. "God will open another door." Obinna nodded, but the weight of uncertainty pressed on him. As he walked home slowly along the dusty road, Lost in thought, a black jeep parked by the roadside caught his eye. A distressed-looking man stepped out, waving frantically. "Please, my brother. Please help me," the man pleaded. "My car has run out of fuel, and my wife is in labor. We need to get to the hospital immediately. Anything you can spare will help us." Obinna instinctively reached for his pocket. All he had left was his last ATM card, the only money they had for the week. He hesitated for just a moment. Ada-Ora was pregnant too. They needed that money. But the voice of his mother echoed in his mind. "Kindness spares, my son. Kindness returns." He held out the card. "Take it," he said softly. The man stared at him in disbelief. "Are you sure?" "Yes. Saving a life is more important." The man gripped Obinna's hands tightly. "What is your name?" "Obinna," he replied. "Thank you, Obinna," the man said with tears in his eyes. "You have helped my family today." Then he rushed back into the car and sped off. When Obinna reached home, Ada-Ora listened calmly as he explained everything. Instead of scolding him, she smiled gently. "You did the right thing," she said. "God sees every seed you sow." As they sat together under the fading evening light, neither of them knew that the man Obinna helped would soon return into his life. Not as a stranger, but as the key to a miracle beyond imagination. Night fell quietly over Ala-Udo, and Obinna and Ada-Ora sat in their small hut, discussing the uncertainties that lay ahead. They spoke softly, comforting one another, until Ada-Ora suddenly gasped and clutched her abdomen. "Obinna, it's time," she whispered. Fear and urgency washed over him. Without hesitation, he lifted her onto his bicycle and pedaled toward the community hospital. Sweat dripped from his face as he pushed through the dusty road, praying under his breath. When they arrived, the nurses rushed Ada-Ora inside, but the doctor pulled Obinna aside. "Your wife is in active labor," he said, "but you must pay a deposit before we proceed." Obinna froze. The amount mentioned was far more than anything he had. He tried to plead, but the hospital insisted. With a heavy heart, he stepped into the corridor, leaning against the wall, wondering how he would save his wife and unborn children. His eyes stung with tears he tried to hide. Just then, a familiar voice echoed through the corridor. "My helper, my brother." Obinna looked up and saw the same man from earlier running toward him with overwhelming joy written on his face. "Obinna, come. My wife has delivered. A healthy child." He dragged Obinna into the ward where a smiling woman lay with a newborn wrapped in soft blankets. "We named him Obinna," she said warmly. Obinna blinked in shock. "Why?" "Because you helped us when no one else would," the man replied. "You saved my family." But Obinna's face did not reflect happiness. Instead, it showed pain. The man noticed immediately. "What is wrong, my friend?" Obinna sighed deeply. "My wife is also in labor, but I cannot afford the hospital fees." The man's expression changed instantly. He stepped back, studying Obinna carefully. "My brother, do you know who I am?" Obinna shook his head. "My name is Mr. Adeyemi Ajayi, CEO of Ajayi Holdings International." Obinna's mouth dropped open. He had helped a billionaire without knowing. Mr. Ajayi placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Obinna, today you gave me hope. Now allow me to give it back to you." He called the hospital administrator immediately and settled every bill, even those yet to come. "From today," he continued, "I want you to become the co-CEO of my company. I have been looking for a man with integrity to help me manage the business." Obinna's knees buckled. "Sir, I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Mr. Ajayi smiled. "Your kindness has earned it." He added, "As a token of gratitude, I am giving you 3 million Nigerian nairas, a fully furnished house, and a car." Obinna fell to his knees, overwhelmed with gratitude. Little did he know that greater blessings awaited him in the next room. Obinna rushed down the hospital hallway with renewed strength, the weight of fear now replaced with overwhelming hope. As he entered the maternity ward, a nurse met him with a wide smile. "Congratulations, sir," she exclaimed. "Your wife has delivered safely. A set of bouncing baby boys." Joy exploded in Obinna's heart. He hurried inside, his eyes filling with tears as he saw Ada-Ora lying peacefully with the two beautiful newborns resting beside her. Their tiny fingers curled softly, their breaths gentle like morning wind. Ada-Ora looked up and smiled weakly. "My husband. They are perfect, aren't they?" Obinna nodded, unable to speak at first. He held her hand tightly and finally whispered, "My love, God has remembered us today." He sat beside her and told her everything. How the stranger he helped was actually a wealthy CEO, how their hospital bills were paid in full, how he had been appointed co-CEO of a major company, and how they had been gifted 3 million naira, a new house, and a car. Ada-Ora's eyes widened, tears rolling down her cheeks. "You see, kindness never fails," she murmured. "Your good heart led us here." Obinna held her and the babies close, feeling the fullness of gratitude swell inside him. Days later, they moved into their new furnished house. A spacious home with tiled floors, bright rooms, and a compound large enough for the children to play in as they grew. Villagers gathered outside, watching in amazement as Obinna and his family settled into their new blessings. Even Tunde and his wife came, though pride did not allow them to stay long. They were shocked, stunned that the poor man who kept helping people had risen far above what they ever imagined. That evening, as Obinna sat with Ada-Ora and their newborn sons, he reflected on everything that had happened. The job loss, the unexpected encounter, the generosity, and the miracle of new life. He gently carried his sons in his arms and whispered, "Kindness spares, kindness returns, kindness always prevails." One day, Tunde was walking through the city when he encountered a poor, tattered-looking man asking for help. Due to his hardened ways, Tunde refused and insulted the man harshly. The man, hurt but composed, merely sighed, shook his head, and walked away. Later that day, Tunde was heading to a business meeting to secure an important contract. To his shock, when he arrived at the office, the man he had insulted earlier was the very person he was scheduled to meet, the one responsible for awarding the contract. The man looked at Tunde calmly and said, "So, you are the Tunde I am supposed to meet today. I'm very sorry, but because of your attitude and refusal to help earlier, you have lost this contract. Furthermore, you will have to pay a fine for breaching the agreement. Your assets will also be affected. You are not worthy of this opportunity." Tunde pleaded and cried, trying desperately to explain himself, but the man remained firm. He requested that only a person with integrity handle his company and made it clear that Tunde was no longer qualified. When Tunde refused to leave, the man called security and had him forcibly escorted out of the office. In that moment, Tunde's world collapsed. The wealth, prestige, and pride he had accumulated slipped through his fingers. All his riches, his business deals, and his illusions of success vanished because of the selfishness and cruelty he had chosen over kindness. Tunde wept, realizing too late that his lack of compassion had destroyed everything.